Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation.
Good night, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the Make We Talk program this evening. This evening, we're going to have our special guest is Mr. Don Anderson, pollster. He's going to speak to us some more about the recent poll that was commissioned by the People's National Party and what is going on in the poll. We're also going to have Mr. Andre Hylton, who is a former member of parliament for the People's National Party. We're also going to have Luke George Cooke, human rights activist and political commentator. He will be on our program this evening. But in the meantime, until our guest comes in, we're going to start the program. It is now a minute after 8 o'clock, a minute after 7 o'clock in the land of wood and water. And it's a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday evening to give God thanks and praise. It's a beautiful Tuesday evening to be alive. And I just want to say to everyone out there that although we may have our differences and although we may have our problems facing us, we must continue to give God thanks and praise and also to give a helping hand to those who may need our help. Well, we heard about all sorts of shebang going on within the realms of the JCF. A businessman disarmed a police officer, shoot one, then turn the gun on himself. It begs to ask the question, as what the persons that said earlier on today, that majority of there were maybe 1,000 of the 12,000 members of the JCF, 1,000 of them is diagnosed with depression. Some serious things going on there. But let us show what we have here. The recent Dan Anderson poll shows that the People's National Party is gaining momentum. It's gaining a lot of momentum. There it is. The PNP in June national poll of 2024. The People's National Party is at 34.3%, while the Labour Party at 27%. Not sure, 19.8%. As I said earlier on, Mr. Don Anderson will be joining us to give us some more breakdown on the polls. But we're just gonna start until we get Mr. Anderson to come on. We're also waiting on Mr. Luke George Cooke also to come on and give his perspective on the recent polls. And based on this, we have another one here where it is showing that Mark Golding is leading the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Mr. Golding is at 32.2%, while Mr. Holness is at 33.8%. Negative, Mark Golding lead. Mark Golding is at 26.2%, while the Prime Minister is at 37%. Does that look good at all? Not looking good. Mark Golding score ahead of Andre Holness in the February polls. And when you see that if election should call tomorrow morning, you think that the PNP will win the election? It seems that way. Will it be a landslide victory? We don't know. But people who knows about polling, like Mr. Anderson, will explain some more to us about all of this. As I said before, we're waiting on their arrival. But I also want to show you something here. Oh Lord, what am I doing here? No, not this one. This one here. I want to show you something here. Let me go into this. It was done by the Jamaica Labour Party. It was done by CVM rather, News and CVM. Sorry about that. News and CVM. Let me take this out of here. Move this from here. I want you all to listen to this until our guest comes on to the program here.
News now, as Jamaica approaches what promises to be a pivotal general election, recent polling data from Don Anderson reveals a highly competitive political environment. With Prime Minister Andre Holness and opposition leader Mark Golding vying for voter support, the race is shaping up to be one of the closest in recent memory. The latest Don Anderson poll shows a narrow lead for Golding in terms of positive ratings, with 35.2% of respondents expressing favorable views when compared to Holness's 33.8%. However, Holness faces a higher negative rating, standing at 37%, while Golding's negative rating is notably lower at 26.2%. These contrasting ratings highlight a complex dynamic in voter sentiment, with both leaders facing distinct challenges and opportunities. In terms of voting intention, the PNP holds a slight edge with 34.3%, while the JLP trails at 27%. A significant portion of the electorate, 18.8%, remains undecided, underscoring the fluid nature of voter preferences as the election approaches. The results come in the wake of local government elections that saw an even split, with the opposition gaining more seats than previously held. This shift also suggests potential momentum for Golding's PNP and could be a critical factor influencing the upcoming general election. Joining us now is the pollster himself, Mr. Don Anderson. Welcome, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you very much for inviting me. You have in fact indicated what the numbers look like, so we just need to, in a way, amplify what we have found and give you some background data to when the poll was conducted and the sort of parameters.
Absolutely.
Sure.
We wanted to start by asking when the poll was conducted and also an explanation as to the methodology behind the poll results.
All right. So the poll was conducted between the 19th of June and the 28th of June. So we had 10 days of fieldwork and we were able to generate the data clearly within another day from that, okay? It was a nationally representative sample. In other words, we interviewed persons right across all the parishes in line with their numerical representation within each of those parishes so that we can project from the 1,030 persons that we interviewed up to the national voting population, 18 years and over. So that's the background to it. The methodology is the same for every study we do. We interview people using a smartphone and everybody's asked the same sets of questions and there's a foolproof approach to conducting the fieldwork. So the results that we're reading now represent the key findings from 1,030 persons interviewed across the island in a nationally representative sample, which allowed us to project upwards to the total voting population, 18 years and over.
Understood. But how do you interpret the discrepancy between the positive and negative ratings for both Mark Golding and Andrew Holness?
There are no discrepancies, really. I mean, discrepancy is a word that's not really appropriate to this evaluation. So let me just say exactly what came up. And I suppose you mean the difference in the ratings.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we've found that from a low of maybe less than 20% when we started to look at the favorability rating of Mark Golding when he took office as the leader of the opposition, we've seen a gradual increase in the favorability rating for Golding on the basis of greater awareness as to who he is and the fact that he has in fact now been more visible as the leader of the opposition. So we've seen a gradual improvement in his favorability rating over the last 4 years. That favorability rating in the poll that we conducted in June is now at 35%, which is the largest favorability rating that he has achieved in the 14 or so polls we have done since 2020. At the same time, we have found a gradual decrease in the favorability rating of Andrew Holness from over 40%, say in 2020, down to what it is now at 33.8%. So it is, if you look at it from a marketing perspective, the leader is always the most vulnerable. The brand leader, the market leader is always the most vulnerable. And what we have found is that because Holness is in the top sort of driving seat, as it were, as the leader of the country, there's a lot more against which you can gauge his favorability rating. And when we looked at it in the June poll, that favorability rating fell to 33%, 33.8%, just under 34%, which was a continuation of a gradual decline in the favorability rating of Holness. At the same time that there's been a gradual increase in the favorability rating of Golding. So right now, Golding's favorability rating is just over 1.4% stronger, if you wish, than it is for Holness.
Finally, who commissioned the poll?
The poll was commissioned by the People's National Party, one of the regular polls that we do for anybody who wants to get information from us. Private sector, public sector, political parties, we conducted the poll, which was commissioned by the People's National Party. The all perspective doesn't really matter.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Don Anderson. He's the pollster who we are talking to on the matter of the favorable.
The interview after the polls, after them get the news from.
Yeah, CVM called me and did an interview.
Saying that they never prepare you and you get this call.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of joke. And they gave you permission to talk about it on CBM though?
Well,
Huh?
hi, Jeffrey. They released it on CVM.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you.
How are you
Good
doing,
evening.
man?
I'm good.
Good. I
We
realized
have
that
with
we're
us.
supposed to be on at 7 o'clock, but it's after. It's 7:12 now. So
What time is it now?
7:12.
What time is it supposed to be on again?
I thought it was 7:30, but if we all know, let's wait.
You want to come on now? Or you want to wait till 7:30? It doesn't matter to
No,
me.
man, we can do it now and get it out of the way.
Okay, no problem, sir. No problem. We have with us here the man himself who was commissioned by the People's National Party to do the polls. And Mr. Anderson, can you explain to the Jamaican people and people in the diaspora about the polls that you have just commissioned for the PNP?
Just carried out for the PNP. Well,
yes.
This poll was commissioned last month.
We can hardly hear you.
Let me see if I can do something about
that. You're better that way now.
Okay. So the poll is commissioned by the PNP around about middle of June. And field work would have been carried out. I don't have the specific dates here, but say in the second half of June, we were able to submit that report on the 28th of June. All right. They have apparently released some of the data to CVM, so that's now public knowledge. And that's what we're talking about. There are two questions that they released. I believe one has to do with the favorability rating of the respective leaders, and the other one has to do with the current party standings. Two very important questions. So that was what was released. So that, I guess, is the subject of the discussion that we can kind of send our thoughts around.
So, Mr. Anderson, tell me something now, sir. Based on the favorability of Golden in this poll here, is it that if election should call tomorrow morning, the PNP would have won the election?
No, elections are won on election day. I keep on making that point, that what you see are the indicators. But what happens and what determines who win the election is who go out and vote on the election day and how they vote. So these are indicators, but they're not conclusive evidence that is going to how the elections are going to go. It certainly gives you a pattern, gives you a trend, and if it holds, but election day is all about the machinery on the ground on the day and how people are actually influenced to vote then.
So with this here now, it said Mark Golden is at 35.2%. Golden is at 33.8%.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to ask a stupid question. How did you all get to this, in a sense, of the percentage of this?
Well, I mean, you interviewed over 1,000 persons island-wide, and based on the responses, this is the data that was generated from those interviews. So when we interviewed the 1,030 persons, I think it was 35.2% of that 1,030 persons said that Golden had a favorable rating. They rated Golden favorably. And by the same token, when we asked a question about wholeness, 32.5%, I believe, 33.8% rated him positive. So you also have the corollary to that is the negative rating. So we ask people, how do you rate each of these persons? And it's either favorable, no opinion, or unfavorable, which translates into a positive vis-a-vis a negative rating. And then you have a certain percentage who didn't have an opinion. All right. So it's generated from the sample that we interviewed, over 1,000 persons island-wide, nationally representative sample. And on the basis of that, 35.2% said that as far as they are concerned, they have a favorable opinion of Golden. And 33.8%, 1.4 percentage point less, said they had a favorable rating of wholeness. Now, I must mention that this is the first time in 4 years that we've been polling and asking this question, that Golden is actually better rated on this measure than wholeness. So what we have seen is a gradual increase in the favorability rating of Golden, moving from less than 20% when he became leader in 2020 up to 35.2% now. So it's been a gradual increase in that favorability rating. By the same token, we've seen a gradual reduction. It's all been gradual over a 4-year period and maybe 10 or 12 different editions of this particular question, where wholeness moved from as high as 45% favorability rating, gradually slipping to the point where when we did the survey in the middle of June last month, its rating was down to 33.8%. So the lines crossed between the last study which we did, which would have been about April, and in that particular situation, wholeness was still marginally ahead of golden in terms of a favorability rating. But since then, perhaps a reflection on the outcome of the February election, local government election, because we did have a question in that poll that we did 1 week before as to how you rated the respective leaders, the favorability rating. So it's a gradual kind of shift that we've seen. And at this point in time, golden is 1.4 percentage points ahead of wholeness in terms of the favorability rating. But what's also important is that negative rating, which has significantly increased for wholeness, 27% vis-a-vis some 30% negative rating. So the gap is particularly wide on that particular score, not so on the positive rating. They're more or less equally rated within the margin of error, so to speak.
So have you done a poll in the sense of and I know maybe I'm going out of context here, but in the sense of the younger set of Jamaicans versus the older set of Jamaicans who are saying, okay, they're favorable the PNP or the JLP?
Well, every survey that we do of this nature, we do have the ability to analyze the data by age and by gender, for example. All right?
Yes.
And therefore, we do have that data. Now, I don't have that data in front of me now, and I haven't been actually given permission to release that kind of data. But we do have a considerable amount of information on every one of these polls that we talk about that analyzes the data by gender, because the parties are particularly keen to see whether they're appealing to more males and females or the other way around, and what particular age group is being appealed to and attracted by the respective parties. So we have some historical data which says that the PNP normally attracts a slightly older population, 45 and over, whereas the JLP tends to have a stronger appeal amongst the younger folk under 35.
Yes.
And that has been the pattern for the last, say, 4 or 5 years. We have seen, probably consistent with the overall pattern of change, that age break is also showing some, in a way, some diversity, because in the last two polls that we did, the age group 18 to 35 is probably equally split now between the two parties, so that the PNP has gained ground in that particular age group. By the same token, the PNP's core support has come from the 45 and over, which by virtue of them getting older and older, some of them slip off of the spectrum. So that is something that they, I believe, have expressed concern about, the fact that they're losing some of their core support in amongst the older persons. But yes, we do have a lot of data on every one of these surveys that we do that can give you that kind of dimension and added analysis that would be useful for everybody who wants to look at data like this. Yeah.
But it is always a tradition that the older set of Jamaicans are always favorable of the PNP.
It has been historically so, but again, in the last, I would say since 2016, we've been seeing some shifts in those patterns. Not a reversal, but some weakening of that kind of core support amongst the older group for the PNP, because a lot of them don't go to vote. And when you look at the 2016 to 2020 period, where the People's National Party lost some 160,000 persons, when you look at the cross analysis of those people who fell away, so to speak, they're largely the older persons who simply became a little fed up about going out to vote. So that was where they lost the support. But it's a very dynamic kind of analysis that you look at when you look at the age group split, because it is constantly changing. And what we found, for example, when wholeness was at its peak in terms of its favorability rating, going up to close to 50%. A significant percentage of that were amongst the younger people. Now, the younger people are saying more and more to us that they're not really interested in voting. So perhaps that is one of the reasons, and I say one of the reasons why that favorability rating for Holness has been dipping, because more and more young people are now becoming more and more disenchanted with the voting process and are not being engaged in the process of voting and not saying that they're going to go to vote. So that's probably one of the reasons why you've seen that fall off in the favorability rating. Certainly is part of the contributory factors.
And when you see something like that, then it's not good for the democracy of the country, in the sense of people not going to the polls to vote.
Yes, but as data across the Caribbean and the wider region is now showing, we probably are getting a little too alarmed about the low voter turnout, because when you compare that to a number of other countries in our region, and even wider field,
Yes.
it's not significantly different. I think we need to be concerned about it, because at the same time you're having more and more persons being registered to vote. The gap between those who are registered to vote and those who turn out to vote has been widening significantly. It's like a alligator opening its mouth. You can see that pattern significantly increasing, where people are getting the voters card not because they're going to go out to vote, because the numbers who voted in the 2020 election were no more than voted in the election some 40 years ago.
Wow.
But the number of persons who are registered to vote has increased by threefold. So what's happening is that people are buying on to the need to get a voter's ID, because even the electoral office has confirmed that it is the most widely used card for identifying Jamaicans. But for voting, not so.
So it's a widely used card to identify Jamaicans, but for voting, not so at all.
No, it's an identity card, and it is the most acceptable identity card that people use across the country. But it's not turning out. In other words, maybe in the 1980 period, we had about 1 million persons who were eligible to vote, and we had about 700,000 persons who went out to vote. In the 2020 election, or by the 2020 election, we had some close to 2 million persons who were eligible to vote by virtue of having their voter card. But the number of people who voted was only about 700 and something, marginally more than what was 1980. So you can see, therefore, the widening gap between those who are eligible to vote and those who are turning out to vote. And that's the real concern, more so than the voter turnout. The fact that...
Go ahead. Finish
the
it
fact that people are getting their voter cards, and that would have encouraged the politicians to think that, yes, man, we're going to get a good voter turnout. More and more persons getting the voter card, but less and less persons are actually, relatively so, turning out to vote. And that's the concern.
So what about in the last general election, how much people came out to vote, Mr. Anderson?
In the last general election?
Yes.
Which was 2020, we had about a 37.8% turnout.
And the local government election last time?
We had a 29% turnout. Now, the next point I'm going to make is going to emphasize the point that I'm making even stronger, because in the 2024 election, which was held in February, the incidence of persons who turned out to vote was more than voted in the last local government election, right? But significantly less than voted out in the last general election, because by the time between 2020 and 2024, the number of new voters was somewhere like 400,000. But very few of them actually, it didn't make any difference in the number of persons who turned out to vote. But the number who were eligible to vote was substantially more. So that's the real problem, because we had more persons turning out to vote, more in absolute numbers, turning out to vote in this election than voting in the last local government election. But the percentage was lower because of the higher incidence of registration.
Wow.
It's a worrying factor.
Mr. Anderson, you that is why I love to talk to you. I don't like to go on my platform and start talking nonsense, and I love to get you that I can sit down and talk to you. You break down the percentage to us here on the
Glad
Make
if
We
we
Talk
need
program.
can do that. Happy that we can do that because it really does need a wider level of appreciation for people to really talk about the political situation because it's very easy for people to be glib about it and say, yeah, man, voter turnout getting lower and lower and lower. But it has to be taken in context. Because more people voted than voted in the last local government election, but the incidence of voting based on the overall voter eligibility was actually lower. 29% voted, which is the lowest incidence of voting we have had in our history of voting. 29% turned out to vote. If we continue that pattern, well, it is a real threat to democracy.
Indeed. And based on, have you ever done a poll to ask Jamaicans why they don't go out and vote, Mr. Anderson?
Oh yeah, man. We have tons and tons of data on that, right? All pointing in the same direction. As a matter of fact, we have so much data that the electoral office invited me to make a presentation at their retreat last year. And it was all about why do people don't go to vote? What's the reason people not going out to vote? And a lot of it is a turnoff on the political process to a large extent. Not a lot of confidence in politicians. Politicians not making any difference in their lives. They're not seeing the politicians. They're not benefiting any at all. Politics is corrupt, etc., etc., etc. All serious negatives that they highlight. And these are questions. These are responses that we capture verbatim. And we put in categories. So they're very, very turned off on the political process. And a lot of them don't see any good enough reason to go out and vote. Anecdotally, when you talk to young people nowadays in particular, because that's where that's the lowest incidence of voting, they're just not keen to go out to vote because they don't see any benefit. And they've grown up in an era where they believe that politics is corrupt and they don't want to be part of the process.
Have you ever done, and I'm drifting away from the polls of the that you just did, but have you ever done a poll on the level of corruption in Jamaica?
Corruption?
Yes.
Quite a few.
Can you share a little bit with us before you go?
I can speak generally.
Yes.
I can tell you that because it's something that I have mentioned in a number of fora that I speak at. I can tell you that in 2019 we did 3 surveys almost at the same time round about corruption issues. All right. And almost a central finding out of these 3 studies, which are done within a short space of time. And as a matter of fact, I was in the country making a presentation one night on one and the following morning on another. Close to 70% of persons interviewed say that corruption is a way of life in Jamaica. That's worrying. 70% of Jamaicans said that corruption is a way of life. That's worrying. All right. And this, I repeated it for emphasis. All right.
Wow.
When you drill it down, a lot of people say we have never actually experienced it themselves or been part of it because people are not going to be readily prepared to indicate that they are part and parcel of the corrupt process. But they do have this feeling that corruption is so prevalent that it has become a way of life in the country. And that's a worrying statistic. But yeah, we have done a number of studies on that, man.
Mr. Anderson, I know you have another interview to run to.
Yes.
And I want to tell you thanks for coming on at short notice, sir.
Man, that's okay. You can shout me. As long as I'm available, I will speak with you. No problem.
Thank you very much, Sir Don Anderson.
Okay. Talk to you again, Jeff.
All right, sir. Thanks much.
Good.
Mr. Anderson, who came onto the program here to give us some more insight of what is going on with the polls and Jamaicans not really going to the polls to vote. And, so when you see the young people up and down on campaign trail, one thing that I know that man who used to pull me around on campaign trail with him, the late Russell Hammonds, always say to me, Jeffrey, you see all those people there running up and down behind us? Some of them can't vote, Some of them not even have, some of them not even registered to vote. And you heard Mr. Anderson said that a lot of Jamaicans get the voter ID because it's a well-recognized ID in Jamaica, but they do not vote. That don't look good at all. And you heard what he said, that the younger set of Jamaicans are saying that they don't have nothing to do with politics. Because politics is not where their mind is on now. The perceived politicians have been corrupt, and the political system in our country is one of the most corrupt systems known. And that is why the youngest of the Jamaicans refuse to go to the polls and vote. And that is very sad. It is sad in a democracy that, as what Mr. Anderson said, that the percentage of people going out to vote is a threat it is a threat to the democracy of Jamaica. It's a threat. I'm waiting on to get, hopefully I get the People's National Party, Mr. Andre Hylton, to come onto the program here. Let's hope we can get through to him to come on. And also Sir Luke George Cooke. It is now 8:33, 7:33 in Jamaica. I never finished with the thing on CBM. And we're going to go back there until we get through to Mr. Cooke to come on. We're going to start it over until we get Mr. Cooke to come on the program here. Oh, Lord. Bear with us here. As soon as we get this up, we're going to show it to you. Let us see what is going on. Because we need to know these things, you know. These are things that we need to sit down and analyze. If the people are not coming out to vote, my God, it's a threat to the democracy of our country. Let's go back to what was being said on CVM.
Promises to be a pivotal general election. Recent polling data from Don Anderson reveals a highly competitive political environment. With Prime Minister Andrew Holness and opposition leader Mark Golding vying for voter support, the race is shaping up to be one of the closest in recent memory. The latest Don Anderson poll shows a narrow lead for Golding in terms of positive ratings, with 35.2% of respondents expressing favorable views when compared to Holness's 33.8%. However, Holness faces a higher negative rating, standing at 37%, while Golding's negative rating is notably lower at 26.2%. These contrasting ratings highlight a complex dynamic in voter sentiment, with both leaders facing distinct challenges and opportunities. In terms of voting intention, the PNP holds a slight edge with 34.3%, while the JLP trails at 27%. A significant portion of the electorate, 18.8%, remains undecided, underscoring the fluid nature of voter preferences as the election approaches. The results come in the wake of
18.3% undecided. You know something? The Jamaican people, as I said before, that majority of us do not see what or who to vote for. Because when you look on the political system in our country, let's take away this for a while. Let's go back. Let's put this over here. Yes. When you look at the political system in our country, it begs to ask the question, are these political leaders giving the Jamaican people something to vote for more than voting for a party? As what Mr. Anderson just said, that the younger set of Jamaicans don't see a way forward in the political arena in this country. They don't look to the political elite or the political parties to uplift them. That is why when I keep on saying to you all that Jamaica is 62 years old in August, come August this year, we'll be 62 years old. And if we'll be 62 years old and our people don't have a basic thing as running water in their pipe, and young people coming up every day and see what is going on, you think they're going to vote? And 29% of Jamaicans voted in the local government election. 18% is undecided. A country that our political system was up to par, where Jamaicans will go out and vote and say, yes, I have a vote. The youngest of the Jamaicans are saying. And that is why in the local government election, you hear politicians after politicians coming out and saying that people in their constituencies saying to them that you have to give us something for a vote, because they're the one who started the vote buying in this country. And that is why Jamaicans will say to them, we will not give you our vote until you give us something. And it's very sad. It is very sad. A sad state of situation in this country. Let's continue with the program here. Let me go back to this thing here. Let me get back that. Hold on for me, please. I think I did something wrong here. Hold on for me. Remove that. Then go back like this. Oh, Lord. There it is. Let me continue playing this.
Local government elections that saw an even split, with the opposition gaining more seats than previously held. This shift also suggests potential momentum for Golding's PNP and could be a critical factor influencing the upcoming general election. Joining us now is the pollster himself, Mr. Don Anderson. Welcome, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you very much for inviting me. You have in fact indicated what the numbers look like, so we just need to, in a way, amplify what we have found and give you some background data to when the poll was conducted and the sort of parameters.
Absolutely.
Sure.
We wanted to start by asking when the poll was conducted and also an explanation as to the methodology behind the poll results.
All right. So the poll was conducted between the 19th of June and the 28th of June. So we had 10 days of fieldwork, and we were able to generate the data clearly within another day from that, okay? It was a nationally representative sample. In other words, we interviewed persons right across all the parishes in line with their numerical representation within each of those parishes, so that we can project from the 1,030 persons that we interviewed up to the national voting population, 18 years and over. So that's the background to it. The methodology is the same for every study we do. We interview people using a smartphone, and everybody's asked the same sets of questions, and there's a foolproof approach to conducting the fieldwork. So the results that we're reading now represent the key findings from 1,030 persons interviewed across the island in a nationally representative sample, which allowed us to project upwards to the total voting population, 18 years and over.
Understood. But how do you interpret the discrepancy between the positive and negative ratings for both Mark Golding and Andrew Holness?
There are no discrepancies, really. I mean, discrepancy is a word that's not really appropriate to this evaluation. So let me just say exactly what came up. And I suppose you mean the difference in the ratings.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we've found that from a low of maybe less than 20% when we started to look at the favorability rating of Mark Golden when he took office as the leader of the opposition. We've seen a gradual increase in the favorability rating for Golden on the basis of greater awareness as to who he is and the fact that he has in fact now been more visible as the leader of the opposition. So we've seen a gradual improvement in his favorability rating over the last 4 years. That favorability rating in the poll that we conducted in June is now at 35%, which is the largest favorability rating that he has achieved in the 14 or so polls we have done since 2020. At the same time, we have found a gradual decrease in the favorability rating of Andre Hylton from over 40%, say in 2020, down to what it is now at 33.8%. So it is, if you look at it from a marketing perspective, the leader is always the most vulnerable. The brand leader, the market leader is always the most vulnerable. And what we've found is that because Holden is in the top sort of driving seat, as it were, as the leader of the country, there's a lot more against which you can gauge his favorability rating. And when we looked at it in the June poll, that favorability rating fell to 33%, 33.8%, just under 34%, which was a continuation of a gradual decline in the favorability rating of Holden, at the same time that there's been a gradual increase in the favorability rating of Golden. So right now, Golden's favorability rating is just over 1.4% stronger, if you wish, than it is for Holden.
Finally, who commissioned the poll?
The poll is commissioned by the People's National Party, one of the regular polls that we do for anybody who wants to get information from us. Private sector, public sector, political parties, we conducted a poll, which was commissioned by the People's National Party. The author, for our perspective, doesn't really matter.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Don Anderson. He's the pollster who we are talking to on the matter of the favorability and discrepancies with the leaders in the polls now. So we'll have more in that discussion in our discussion segment. That segment comes up right after this break.
Here we go. As they take the break, then we'll go back to the discussion segment of their program because we need to hear what they're saying. I think I'm frozen, but you can still hear me. Yeah, here we are. We're still waiting to get in contact with Mr. Andre Hylton of the People's National Party, who had promised us to come onto the program here. Let's see if I can get a hold of him. Hold on. I think he's trying to come on now. Yes, I think he's trying to come on now. I also waiting on Mr. Luke George to come on and talk to us. Yeah, we're in some serious times in this country. The polls are Jamaicans do not see it fit to vote. It does not look good or sound good at all. And the younger set is the future of tomorrow, they always say. But if the younger set don't see anything to vote for, then my God, we're in serious times in this country. We're in very serious times in this country. So when you have young people who don't believe in the democracy of your country, of their own country, then what is there for you to really push them to vote? So when you come on the platform here and you saying to them that, you think it's time for them to go out and vote, but they don't see it fit to go out and vote. And my God, it doesn't look good. It do not look good. I think I'm going to open up the phone lines for people to tell us what they think until we get the other guests to come on. We're going to open up the phone lines. We have the other guests to come on. Mr. Anderson came on and spoke to us. Spoke to us about the polls. What really caught my eyes in this poll, though, let me put this up on the screen here. What caught my eyes in the polls? Let me take off the Make We Talk live thing here. Let me take this off. Is this part 34.3% voting, third and 27% for the JLP. Is it that Jamaicans have decided, look here, we had enough of the Andre Hylton administration? Well, the election is constitutionally due in 2025. And let us see if the gentleman who is the Prime Minister of this country going to call the election. And that is why I keep on saying that in the formal, in the construct of a new constitution for this country. Hold on for me. Hold on a while. Don't move from me, please. I have Mr. Hilton. Yes, sorry about that. That was Mr. Andre Hylton, of the former Member of Parliament of the People's National Party. He's going to come on now to speak to us. I need to put negative people on where? Jeffrey, I think the program you're having is a good program, but you need to put negative people on the side. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You know? I can't stop people from talking. Why you said I should block them from the chat room? Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and I'm not going to block anybody anymore. You see, from they don't disrespect me or disrespect any other member in the thing here, I don't think I would block them. We're waiting on Mr. Andre Hylton to come onto the program. Let me resend this to him. Yes, send that back to him. Yes, as I said, you know, when you look on this program, when you look on this poll in here, Mark Golden at 35.2%. Andrew Holness at 33.8%. Negative rating, Mark Golden 26.2% and Andrew Holness at 37%. The Jamaican people are saying that they don't want to hear Mr. Holness. That's exactly what the Jamaican people are saying here. You know? That they don't want to hear Mr. Holness. And when you look at this poll in here again too, the same poll in here. full speed ahead. Marky G, as he's dubbed, score ahead of Andre Holness in favor of the poll. 35.2%, Andre Holness has 33.8%. Negative rating at 26.2%, Andre Holness has 37%. Wow. Then you look at this one here. Not sure. As we have here, we have Mr. Andre Hylton coming on now. Sir Hilton, how you doing? I can take off this thing here.
Greetings, my brother. Good evening to you and your many listeners and viewers.
Thank you very much for coming on at short notice, my friend.
Pleasure.
Your views on the recent polling of the commission by the People's National Party with Don Anderson, where the PNP is leading Mr. Golden rather is leading the Prime Minister of this country. Your views on all of that?
Well, I believe that our party leader in the last 3-4 years have really embarked on a massive work program.
Yes.
He's one of the hardest working leaders of the PNP I have seen in a long time. And he entered on the reference, assiduously went on a work program, went back out there. So we're seeing the people of Jamaica repaying him for the interest that he has placed in them.
Yes.
So yes, his popularity has grown and is still growing, because you see, people didn't know who Mark Golding was until recently. I know him long before I even got into politics, so I know a lot about him personally, but people who don't know him don't really know the depth of the man. So now they're getting a chance to know him, and they realize that he's a sincere person. He's more Jamaican than, well, many of us. He is dedicated to the task that he takes on. He believes in Jamaica, and he believes in the upliftment of the masses of this country. He believes in an egalitarian society. So people, when they get to know that side of him, they realize that he is a genuine man and a good man and the right man for the task. So I believe that is the reason why you're seeing the polls showing him in a favorable way. And it's only going to get better, in my estimation.
Yes. But Mr. Hilton, when you look at the whole scenario, as what I asked Mr. Anderson, his view, have you ever done a poll wherein the youngest of the Jamaicans, what is the views on politics? And it's alarming. The youngest of the Jamaicans don't want to have anything to do with politics, Mr. Hilton. And it doesn't look good on a democracy like ours at all.
That's an excellent point you have raised. But it's a fundamental problem. We don't know. Well, first of all, we don't teach civics in school anymore. We don't understand the roles and responsibilities of politicians, roles and responsibilities of us as citizens. We just don't know. And the other thing that we need to take into consideration is that when you go to school and they start teaching about history, they tell us that our history started with our foreparents being slaves. And to me, that is the biggest turnoff. Because if you start with a youngster and tell them that their foreparents' history started with slavery, then it's going to be a mental block about me learning anything about the past. I'm ashamed of it rather than being proud of it. They didn't tell us who we were before we came here as Africans. They did not tell us that the first university in the world was Timbuktu. They did not tell us that we were the kings and lords of the world and we created civilization. They did not tell us that Adam and Eve came from somewhere between Ethiopia and Tanzania. They did not tell us of the Moors ruling Europe for 700 years. And some of us were kidnapped, our ancestors were kidnapped and enslaved in Jamaica and other parts of the world. And we endured and we resisted and caused the end of slavery in 1838. So therefore, my brother, we need to let people know what our real history is so we can get our young people excited about history. And once they are excited about history, then you can tell them about the achievements of politicians or politics and governments, successive governments, because it is not only the PNP has done good for Jamaica. Jamaica Labour Party has done good also. I would hasten to say that the PNP has done more. But once you start teaching, people start becoming interested, then they can see how their lives can be changed through good governance, that the communities can be transformed through good governance, that their children can have a better life through good governance. But that can only happen is when they understand what has happened before. So a man who doesn't know his history is like a tree without root, blown by any little wind that comes its way. So we need to get our people rooted to understand, and more importantly, to understand the importance of governance and our responsibility to make sure that when you put a man in there, a party in there to run the country and give them $1 trillion, they must do a good job. If they don't give a good job, you get rid of them.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
So tell me something now. What, based on all that we're seeing here in the polls, Sir Hilton, is it that if the election should call tomorrow morning, in your view, the PNP may have a landslide victory?
Based on the polls, it will be a wipeout, certainly. It certainly would be a fantastic victory. And I have no doubt that it will be. Look, Jamaican people don't vote in governments, they vote out governments.
Yes.
And they have now had a time to reflect on the performance of the PNP. They have had now a time to compare the PNP of the past versus the Andre Hylton administration. And so they are able to say, well, you know, bad to bad, PNP has always come through for us. The other thing is that I believe they give Andre Hylton a fair chance. As a youngster, born after independence, I decided to give him a fair chance. I said, give him a 2-term. And they did. But in my estimation, he has failed to deliver on the expectations of the Jamaican people, in particular the young people. Some of them are very distraught, disappointed about trusting Andre Hylton and real them. So that is my take on it. But we will definitely win by a decent margin.
And I hope that we're going to do enough now to get the youngest of the Jamaicans to come out and vote.
Well, I'll tell you something, Brother Tavares. We have a huge problem in Jamaica, and I believe us as the People's National Party need to speak more. We have been speaking, but we need to speak more to the middle class.
Yes, but Mr. Hilton, before you go in there, is there a middle class in Jamaica, Mr. Hilton?
Well, there are remnants of it that is still left. They are holding on dearly for life.
Yes.
But the truth is, the well-thinking Jamaicans, they are the ones who represent the 60% who's not interested in voting. And when you find well-thinking people get up and decide to vote, it is going to be very telling. Most of them are well-researched people. They vote on issues. And if you put a man, look, I was talking to somebody recently, Tavares, and it came home very clearly to me that even in the scheme of things, the opposition is not really important, you know. What is important is the government you're voting to run the country. And if they fail to perform at the level that this country deserves, you vote them out. And this is why I am saying they gave Andrew a good chance, and he has not performed. I believe the Jamaican people are going to vote them out. Now, I'll get back to the point of the young people and the middle class. We must develop a program of education to let people understand the importance. And I want to call on all Jamaicans, especially Jamaicans abroad, who has a lot of influence locally. Get your family members to get enumerated. And if you don't want to put on an orange shirt election day, put on a white shirt, but go and vote. And once intelligent people, well-thinking Jamaicans start voting in the volume that they need to vote, all politicians and governments will start taking us more seriously. You can't leave it up to a man who wants a rum and boom to decide on who's your government. You can't rely on, I'm not saying everybody who votes want a rum and boom, but there's a lot of people who swings the vote, who want a little thing, a rum and boom, and them happy and them go vote, not thinking about the repercussion. Lots of those young people nowadays who took the money, took the rum and boom, took the clerks, took whatever was given, are now looking back and wondering, what the hell did I do? Because they thought that it would be running all for the whole 5 years or 7 years or 8 years. But it is not. So we have to appeal to our well-thinking Jamaicans, our independent Jamaicans, our educated Jamaicans. All Jamaicans need to go out and vote. Vote for who you want to vote for, but vote. And if we start doing that, I tell you, we will have a different level of representation than we are seeing. That's my opinion.
You know, today I was saying on my program today that Jamaicans now than ever must fight for the soul of the democracy of this country.
Absolutely.
Because our country is in a crisis that if we don't stand up in this country, Jamaica become a totalitarian country.
Well, we have seen evidence of that, eh?
Mr.
I agree
Hilton,
with you. Yes.
What I don't understand, though, as I have you here, is that the PNP is very silent on a lot of issues that is facing the country, sir. Why is that so?
Well, what are you not hearing us talking about?
Well, for example, yesterday, I don't know if you're aware of a video circulating on social media where a member of the JCF have his foot, I'm going to show you the video, in the neck of a Jamaican citizen on the ground. I hear nobody come out and speak about it.
Wow.
Let me show you this video, sir.
Yeah, I didn't see that one at all.
I can get this video down here and show it to you. Hold on a minute for me. This cannot be in 21st century Jamaica. This is it. I hope you can see it. Here we go.
No, that is wrong. Unacceptable.
Is this the Jamaica we talk about a 2030 vision, Mr. Hilton, where we have members of the security forces in this country believe that they can go around and brutalize the citizens of this country, sir?
Well, let me just say, first of all, that there are some excellent police officers in this country. Excellent.
I agree with you, yes.
Excellent. But now and then you find some rogues or some persons who should not be in that position of being a part of the security forces. You know, fundamentally, Brother Tavares, the police force was formed after the Moran Bay Rebellion.
Yes.
That's why it is called a force, Jamaica Constabulary Force.
It need a service.
Not exactly instead of service. And one of the reasons for that is because it was set up to protect the colonial masters from the blacks. And I'm not too sure if we have done enough to reverse that psyche that is the psyche in the police force. I think we need to do more in reversing that. To let the JCF understand that they are there to serve the people, the common man. I was in a police station many years ago and saw a sergeant speaking to a little lady. And I said to him, "No, sergeant, you can't do that. This little lady could be the lady that brings them information about things that are not right. But you have to treat them with respect."
True.
Right? Those kind of things must never be allowed. And I don't hear while I'm going to talk to Mr. Bunting about it. Well, I'm going to suggest to make sure that he has seen it, because I know normally he's vocal against these things.
Yes.
But the Minister of National Security should be out there condemning this behavior. They are the ones who are in charge of the police force. We can talk as opposition, but we have no power to change anything until we are elected the next government.
True.
But the person who is responsible and to ensure that policies are set so that the citizens of this country can be protected by the police and not brutalized is the present JLP government led by Dr. Horace Chang, Minister of National Security. He needs to come out quickly and ensure, both condemning it and make sure to put systems in place that this does not happen again. Jamaicans, you remember what we used to do to Rastas? I remember as a child growing up, Tavares, Rasta, I heard such a bad, so many negative rumors about Rastas. And as a child, I remember a little Rasta man used to walk on the train line in the country.
Yes.
Was such a nice man, so peaceful, loving to children. And I'm saying to my mind, why are they spreading these rumors about Rastas? And you look at the abuse that Rastas have been through because they have stereotyped them. And part of our problem, once you're black, you dress a particular way, or you come from a particular community, you're being stereotyped. Some of the greatest people in this country come from humble beginning. Some come from ghetto, some come from deep rural. We can't treat a man as that where you're coming from is where you're going. And we have to change that mindset with our police force. As I said before, improvements have been made, but a lot more needs to be done. We can't be abused. When I was in Augustown as Member of Parliament, I remember when we had nearly 40 murders per year sometimes. We worked with the young people to bring down murders, the community, the peace builders, the church, the police, everybody. And we got everybody to participate in the process. And I remember one time they sent an inspector down to Augustown police station who was behaving like an old rogue.
Yes.
And I went to his superiors and said, "Look here, we're trying to achieve something in Augustown. You need to remove this man from here." And in fairness, he was removed. And we got a police that was far more amenable, helpful to the people, understanding. And we were able to bring murders down to 1 in 2015 and 0 in 2016. Lots of what we did and the citizens and stakeholders did were not maintained after, and it got back out of control. But I'm saying to you, if we treat people with respect and they can trust you, we will get a better response from them rather than we're trying to abuse them. Every single time the police abuse a citizen, a young youth. You have made an enemy out of somebody who should be a friend.
Indeed.
And not only that, his entire his friends and his family. That's why I never supported the state of emergency, because we just lock up youths wholesale, take away their rights, and lose their family, they lose their work, they lose all kinds of things, lose their dignity, and sometimes some good decent youth get mixed up with all kind of unseemingly negative people in the lockups and become negative themselves. So we have to. I'm in agreement with you. This has to stop, and I am telling you that, you know, I have a lot of confidence in the next PNP government. I remember when I was member of parliament and Bunting was Minister of National Security, they used to have probably hundreds of curfews in communities across the country. And when I brought him down to Augustown after there was a demonstration one night, and he accompanied me up there, he saw that the curfews was more affecting the good people than the bad ones. And he changed it. He listened to the people. We had a huge meeting. About 800 people came to the meeting, and they expressed to him, and Bunting listened, and he changed it. So I know that he's a man who listens. And I know the PNP is always more inclined to listen to the little man on the ground. And therefore, I believe if we replace the PNP in power, that some of these things will stop.
But I must say good night to Mr. Mark Cameron. He's a good friend of us, and he knows Andre Hylton very well from the Up Jamaica movement. Mark, welcome to the program. Mr. Hilton, when you look on the whole scenario, how is it that we must have a country where the Minister of National Insecurity, I call it, you didn't say it, I said it, presided over a police force where the fundamental rights of the Jamaican people continue to be infringed on? How on earth can you have Jamaican people who may say it is wrong for them to say the parents are going to do that with him or whatever and other things, but you're going to demand them to apologize? What kind of totalitarian country is this, Mr. Hilton?
I'm a little concerned. I'm seeing some trends in the present administration that needs to be closely examined. I am not too sure where it's going. While I understand that we must stamp out negative behavior, negative or antisocial behavior in the society, we have to do it in a lawful way. And sometimes we breach people's rights in the name of justice. We create injustice in pursuit of justice, and you can't do that. And all the time people say two wrong don't make a right. We have to get to the bottom of it, and we have to make sure that these things stop. It's a simple matter, but it needs leadership. It needs a government. It needs a prime minister who will listen. And one of the things with Mark Golding is that he's a man you can talk to. He's a man who listens, and he's also a man who understands the pain of the people. When I started walking in Augustown as a young caretaker, Mark was one of the persons who took me around, because he knows most of the people in Augustown, and so he understands. He plays football with them, he limes with them, he grew up with them, so he knows some of these things that happen in those areas. So speaking to Mark Golding about these matters is certainly something I believe that we will get results with. And generally, I think the PNP is generally a party that really, really understands what the people go through and try to correct, to edify their lives by creating policies and laws that will uplift the people. If you look at the marijuana situation, you think of how many persons died because of a spliff, imprisoned, became a criminal, couldn't go abroad. We are the ones, led by Mark Golding, Raymond Price, and others in the parliament when I was there, and decriminalized marijuana because it impacted so many people in a positive way just to
Yes.
get rid of that stupid law. So those are transformational things that we have done so that we can really help people to be dignified and live a life of dignity and not a life of abuse.
You know, I took you away from a function that you were, and I'm not going to keep you too long, but before you go, your views on a Jamaican in the diaspora. Her father is a Jamaican, her mother is from India. I think it's India, yes. Lady Kamala Harris,
Mhm.
who is now pushed in the limelight to run for president of the United States.
Yes,
How do
yes.
you feel to know that she has Jamaican heritage in her and now she's put in the limelight to run as president?
I feel very proud. Again, this speaks to the talent of our people and how we have been able to impact the world. Jamaica is probably the most influential country per capita in the world, whether it's through music, religion, various achievements, sports, name it. You know, a little antidote. When Kamala became vice president, I ran a joke with my friend and said, "Boy, Joe is up in age, and I think any number can play, you know. And if any number, don't be surprised if she become president of the United States as the first
Yes.
female president." I said it before, long before, when she was just appointed. But I believe that it's the right move, and Joe Biden must be commended for being brave and doing the right thing. You know, he's a true patriot, and you must commend him for thinking of America over himself.
Yes.
I believe that Kamala is the best person at this time, in my own opinion, looking on from the outside, to run the Democratic Party. And her popularity, the fact that she has been so supportive of Joe Biden's programs, and it is a continuation. I believe she will do well, and I believe she will win. I'm not sure in that other what's his name, Trump will do justice.
Yes.
I do believe that she would do a much better job. She's young, she's younger, she's bright, she understands the issues, she's principled, she has excellent outlook towards making America the country that it ought to be. And then what America is not a America is, it can be a white country. It promotes itself as a mixed country. So it includes everybody. Out of many, one people is really the true motto of America, if you ask me. So
Yeah.
we must embrace it. Whether you're Hispanic, you're African, you're Caucasian, you're Asian, whatever your background is, I believe that America has been preaching this for many years. Now the society is saying, stop talking and live it. Let us show that we are truly multiracial. And she is a multiracial person, and she reflects what the wider society in America embraces.
I want to let you go, but I have to ask you this before you go, though. Do you think that this government has done enough for the bus and taxi operators in this country? And why I ask the question, Mr. Hilton? Prime example, the video of this policeman having his foot on the neck of a bus driver or a taxi driver, and you hear nothing from the administration. If a People's National Party administration should gain state power tomorrow morning, do you think? I know you won't be in the parliament because you're not running this time. You're not going to run this time, eh?
No, I'm not. I don't think so.
All right. But do you believe that your PNP administration will do something better for the bus and taxi operators in this country?
Well, remember, you see, let me remind our viewers and listeners, the JUTC was set up by the PNP. That's number one. Number two, used cars the used car policy was established by the PNP so that the average Jamaican could own a motor car. Years gone by, we had to beg to get our car brought in by a dealer. We just couldn't afford it, and when we can afford it, we couldn't get it. So I'm just saying, so the reason why we're having so many taxes today is really because of the policies of the PNP. What I do believe is that I see Darrell Vaz, Minister Vaz, is trying something, but I think in giving him credit, he has really, in recent times since he became minister, has been trying. But I think it might be a little too late. The taxi drivers, the commuters in this country are suffered. If you go on the road and you go to transport center and see how long people have to wait to get a JUTC bus, it is sinful. Then the taxi drivers are paying an enormous amount of money to the authorities just to be legal on the road. And so they are subsidizing the system, they're making lots of money. The challenge that we have, you see, is that you need a holistic outlook towards public transportation. And I know Michael Phillips has been touting it for quite some time, but we have to transform the transportation. It is there because they never had any buses. They have given so many licenses to these taxi drivers. So you have normally a route with, say, 5 taxi drivers. All of a sudden, now you have 15 taxi driver route taxis who are vying for the same passenger. Some of them driving on sidewalks, some of them driving on the wrong side of the road, trying to get this passenger. So part of it is the government that has created. No, the indiscipline of our taxi drivers has to be cauterized. Somehow, some way, if we're going to continue using route taxes to supplement the JUTC, there has to be a system put in place to prevent this hustle. Maybe we need to look at smaller buses. So instead of doing a taxi, you get a 15-seater bus on routes or something to supplement. Because when you have a 15-seater bus can represent 3 cars. You know, it can take 3 cars off the road, or it can replace 3 cars. Instead of having 3 cars, you have one 15. We need to find a way to make the taxi drivers be able to earn a living, supplement the JUTC, but do it in an orderly way. This now does not give the right of any police to abuse our people. Give them some training, man. Yes, we have indisciplined taxi drivers, but there must be a way to arrest a man. There must be a way to interact with some of these indisciplined people. And not all the taxi drivers are like that, just a few of them. But you cannot be treating people like that. It is wrong, it's distasteful, it's illegal, and we have, in the 21st century, we should never be treating our Jamaican citizens like that. It is unacceptable.
Andre Hylton, former member of parliament for, is it North East St. Andrew?
Eastern St. Andrew.
Eastern St. Andrew. Eastern St. Andrew, yes.
Yeah, man.
And as someone in the chat room said, you must come to North East St. Catherine. That's where you're from.
That's where I'm from, yes. I'm supporting Andreen Higgins, who is my very good sister and friend. She's a fantastic candidate, and I'd implore everyone in North East St. Catherine to support her. That's the conference I'm from. Yes, I'm there supporting her 100%.
I have with me on the line here now. I know you have to go, but I know if my good friend Luke George Cooke. Luke, welcome to the program. We have Mr. Hilton on. You have a question to ask him?
No. I saw that you were addressing the issue of the polls.
Yes.
And just to say to Mr. Hilton, when will career politician move away from being career politician? The country was devastated by Beryl, but I didn't see the effort of the PNP trying to go into these parishes and basically try to give hope to the people, certainly the people down at Treasure Beach, when you hear about the distribution, or when you mentioned to me that there was a truck of generators that were being sold that might have come into the country to be given to people. That's disturbing. And I'm wondering when the day of the servant leadership is going to be born over this antagonistic government. And he alluded to it when he said that we treat our people badly, but seemingly no administration has been able to put a cap on it. If you go to the Registrar General Department, you're treated badly. If you go to Kingston Public Hospital, you're treated badly. If you go to the Police Record Department, you're treated badly. So when is it that the people of Jamaica will be valued by our public servants, and when will the situation of the Jamaica people become better as a result of the fact that we have trained the right caliber of civil servant to meet the needs of the people? It's so heartrending when you hear the story of what ordinary Jamaican go through. And while I'm on that, I just want to say to Mr. Hilton, it would have been nice to see the PNP at least recognize the work of Betty and Blaine. There has been a poor showing of statesmanship for the contribution of this outstanding Jamaican. And it goes to show when you serve this country, after a while you become persona non grata.
Let me say two quick things before I leave. We're on the same page in terms of showing more respect to our people and having a higher regard for our brothers and sisters. Remember, we are a classist country, and from slavery, some people were looked down on, and a lot of people have to be fighting to gain respect and to live in dignity and all of that. And we must change that. But to give PNP credit, is PNP say Rastafari is a legitimate religion and they should be allowed to wear their locks and go to school. PNP is the one who said that. PNP is the one who said no bastard, no day again. A lot of the system that PJ Pads put in place for checks and balances and ensure that some of these agencies and so on operate properly. It is a PNP that did that. I will agree that more needs to be done. The matter of St. Elizabeth, I know the party leader, Comrade Mark Golding, has been there. I know the candidate for Southwest St. Elizabeth has been working feverishly in trying to get help for the people down there. Remember, when you're not in power and you're just a candidate, you have no money. Jamaican people believe that once you become the candidate for PNP or the MP for PNP, you get no money. You have to beg and use your own resources to help people. So there's this perception that PNP can go down there and find resources. You can't. As you can say, you can go and show support and give hope and so on. The candidates, the councillors, the councillor candidates, the MP candidates have been working over time. I spoke about Northeast St. Catherine, Andre Higgins. I know up to a few days ago, I called a corporate organized group to give her some help. She's working hard to try and help the people. So maybe it is not being profiled enough. But I know the party leader has been all over the place with many of these candidates and council candidates supporting the people on the ground. I agree that maybe more publicity needs to be done to show the work. But I must say, I know it is being done because I'm in touch with many of them. But yes, a lot more needs to be done. But when you're out of power, you have no control. It's a government that has the resources. And remember, we brought down the debt. They continue doing that. They have a lot more money to spend now than when we were there with Portia as Prime Minister. Whole heap more money. And at this time, it's not about politics, really about rallying around as Jamaicans with the people who need help, whether they're PNP or JLP. It's about people suffering. And it's not because you're a Labourite or you're a PNP, you're going to get help or not get help. We must help all of our brothers and sisters. This is the time we have to put away the politics and say, let us be Jamaicans. Those are my few thoughts, my friend. I really can't stay any longer. I have to go back to the function.
Your views and Betty and Blaine, though. Nothing has been done.
And to be honest, I'm not too sure what has been done. I can't comment on it, to be honest. I know Betty and Blaine has been highly regarded by the party, from PJ to Portia to Mark Golding to Peter Phillips. I know the leadership of the PNP has had her in high regard. I don't know what was done, so I really don't want to comment.
Okay.
I'm not being fair to the comment that he has made now to the PNP.
Yes. And I want you to give maybe what I should ask you. Why is that the People's National Party not using social media to gain more momentum in the sense of young people and so forth? When you invite members of the People's National Party to come onto the program, they don't want to come on. Is there something wrong? Is it that your program is not good enough for members of the PNP? I know,
Well,
I'm with all fairness, the party leader
yeah,
has come on the program maybe 2 times. But when you
yes,
invite other members of the PNP, they don't come on.
right. Well, let me know if you need anybody. I'll try and help you to communicate with them. But the point is, though, the PNP has been doing a lot better than the last time around on social media. You have to
Yes.
give it to them. Yes, there is more. There's room for improvement. I agree, but we have been doing a lot better. Matter of fact, we have the JLP scantering now because we have overtaken them.
Yes, indeed. Andre Hilton, go
It
ahead.
was my pleasure. Luke, thank you. And
It's
good night
always
to
a
your
pleasure to
listeners.
talk to you, Andre. But you know what? You're one of the leaders that I believe have the integrity to really reshape the People's National Party. I'm not going to get into a back and forth because I know that you're leaving. But look, there must be a campaign that we teach the value of our people, and we start teaching it from the very young. I'm tired of hearing that we came out of a culture of slavery. So did we swap black dog for monkey when we chose leaders? You can put things into place, but if it's not commissioned to work and have people who is there to, just as though you had Terrence and you had the police getting that commission from Terrence to have them oversee the function of the police. You have to have agencies that oversee, and you have to put in the checks and balance, like you have your questionnaires about the service that Jamaicans are getting so you can make the relevant change. In terms of social media, I would have loved Andre Hilton for us to do something similar to what Michael Manley did when he did that first
Right now.
a Labor Day activity where you organize your people from the other parishes that were not as adversely affected, and they go out there and they show a spirit of Jamaica that we're losing. I'd love to see us bring back that spirit, but that's for another conversation. But there are some ideas that I have that I don't know that I might get the audience to, or with the Mark Golden administration to pitch those ideas, and hopefully they'll take it on. I don't want a social media campaign to show me caring for Jamaican, but I really would like to see a spirit of care put back
Oh,
into this nation.
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing
okay,
with you.
Mr.
But have a good one, and we'll take that up another time. But have a lovely evening. Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Hilton, thank you for coming on. I know I had a call, wanted to talk to you, but you have to go now, eh?
Yeah, man, we'll do it another time.
All right, Mr. Hilton, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Yes, that's Andre Hilton, former member of parliament. Miss P, you there? Hello?
Yeah, man. It's a anytime.
No, he as I said to you, he had us to leave.
Oh, in town.
Yes. But what do you have to say? Go ahead.
Him come from the William Sheila. I mean, come from that morning. I tell me what I tell him say. Why did Mr. Frank Archer dead? And we couldn't find road to go for a funeral. And he must know Frank Archer. We couldn't find road to go up there. So the person who runs up there, because of a yard. Because now he's sent catching a soldier, go back to Guys Hill, go back to part of Mountain Industry, there's a ground. Believe you me, there is no road to go up there. That's where I was grown. I can't tell you, I grew there. Grow there, and there is no road.
Who is the
Eh?
member of parliament there?
Them say what carry from Morrison.
Morrison.
The road from Louisiana to Post Road. There is no road. When I say no road, I don't mean to say road, no road at all. You have to go on up on the St. Mary side and come up back to Woodside. Go down. And we used to come from Windsor and drop a Post Road. And when we come a Post Road, we turn up in a Mangraves. No road. Not a road. When I meet in a road, one time, me left center and I go there. And me drive to me a Windsor, I got you guys in. Me have the phone. I said, look here, me a Corona yard. And me drive Windsor hen. Me not see a road at Louisiana to come a Post Road. They said me have to go on and come up to Woodside. No road at all, no road, and that the road that we used to park on. Big nice road if the map or car switch. Even look the map in what's back. We go down in spring. No road. However, we spot Mr. Hilton him come from. We go up to Top Mountain there, so no road. I never see I don't know if no more community in a Jamaica run down like that community. It's a total disgrace. Right? It the road where you have from St. and you have to go on Port Maria, Richmond, and go up. You can't come to the center inside. Right? You have to come through St. Mary. And the road still bad, but a little bit better than down towards your faces. Go on to Darling Spring. So me want to talk things because I know lady. He tell him say, Kyle, I just more go back home at my yard. But there is no road, there is no water. You know what she is? Phyllis Michelle run pipe round there. And the pipe run.
Miss P, I will.
And the water can run in there.
Miss P, I will try and mind them.
Yeah, man, yeah, listen.
I will try and mind them best I get a hold of Clarence and Morrison for you. I know some.
Me no want you to try to Morrison. Me no want you.
Miss P, hold on.
Yeah.
Man. We have to talk to her about the road. She is the member of parliament, so I'm going to put in a word to see if and what they can do towards the road. Me no want say no want
I understand, but all of them are come with Jeffrey is promises. Them will say the money is allocated and we know them. We just know why you don't find it. Honestly speaking, no one hear nothing. When Anthony Johnson used to be member of parliament there, and he was a Labour man, and that man, may soul rest in eternal peace. He was a people person. Anthony Johnson was a Labour right and he was a PNP. Anthony Johnson said people. You understand?
Isn't Anthony Johnson isn't he the father of the current Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade? Is that so, Luke?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I say again, and I say it from the bottom of my heart, may his soul rest in eternal peace.
And you know, Sister P,
that man was a Labour man, he ran a ticket.
No, you know, I love all them people that get up back out of eternal peace. Because you see, one of the things we've been like is like a while ago, Anthony can name out everything we everybody do. And this is what concerns me as a young man in Jamaica. If these people were putting in all of these safety net, why is it that we're still talking about roads? Why are we still talking about water, Sister P? It's almost like the Jamaican people don't deserve any better from their government. And then they are so emboldened to come to us every 5 years and ask us to take a chance on them. I mean, what would have taken the leader of the opposition to organize the rest of us in Kingston and St. Andrew to go down to Clarendon, to go down to St. Elizabeth, to go down there, and we spend a day and we cook and we clean and we show camaraderie between. I don't care if you're a Labour right or a PNP. I just know that you suffered. And we use it as a tool for assessment. And we use it also as a tool, Sister P, for how do we now, recognizing that there are so many systems out there that are active, how do we now prepare ourselves for a major hurricane? And I don't know if you noticed this, Sister P. You notice that we have been getting some small tremor, from some small earthquake in recent time. I mean, I said, really, global warming is real. My God,
Yeah,
son.
and
Yeah.
actually, and the next thing where people from the farm, very gone, but I can almost tell you, say, we're going to get either one or two more systems before the season is over, to what I'm watching on all different platforms, right? But the problem, Mr. Luke, is that this government we are governed do not plan for hurricane. They do not plan for nothing at all. Want to fix their pocket. And the Jamaican people do not have the guts to hold on. When Sister P was shaping this country, I said, do not stop the progress. And if then they continue with Portia Simpson, I guarantee you, I'm not gonna say everything would be fine and soup like butter and bread, but we would be far way advanced in this country. You look who tell me say, JPS do not have a store where you know say 500 feet of wire around the country. Let's give it a number. And you know how much transformer, how much every little thing, and you know have them prepare. You mean to tell me say
No, but we need to
January,
break.
February, the minister can call them out and say, guess what? We are now approaching the hurricane season and make sure say everything is intact.
But Miss P,
You can't tell me say,
Miss P,
oh God.
Miss P,
Yeah?
if JPS is not owned by the people of Jamaica, you think JPS not find anything like that? You know, JPS milk in this country. Look,
That is it. So what I'm asking Mr. Mark Jeffrey Golden for no.
he can't do nothing now.
And Mr. Golden, no, when you win, listen to me. Education is good, like academically is good. But I can tell you common sense is better.
Yes.
You must listen to some of the common people with their ideas and put them in action.
Yes.
Okay, sir?
All right.
We need some shelter. We need both 2 JPS or 3 JPS. Because it's 1 JPS, then do us everything and anything, anytime, anyhow. We need competition.
Miss P.
We need competition for the. Yeah?
P, hold on, Miss P. Hold on a minute. Let me say something to you. The two political parties in this country know what is going on. Jamaica has sunshine year in, year out. If they had borrowed some money, because they love to borrow money, borrow some money from the World Bank or from the Chinese, and build a solar power plant for the people of this country, don't you think we'll be better off when it comes on to JPS?
1 million thousand times.
But when you have, hold on there, Miss P, when you have the two political parties in this country who don't give a flying kahuna about what is going on when it comes on to light, because what? And them they pay the light bill in the yard, and the people of this country doing it, some of them. We are the one who are going to stand up, have to stand up in this country and demand that they do something about JPS. One party sell JPS to and not to a man who the American government, who much taxes. When him done with JPS, he sell back JPS to the Jamaican government and go back to Texas, go back to Texas, go build a power plant and pay off the bill.
That is it. It can't work so. All these things have to stop. Because look how long berry blow and people still in the country don't have light. Imagine how that's hard. And JPS have it guts and stomach and send a light bill. Huh?
But not only that, Miss P. Luke, go and let me know. Not only that, Miss P. When you look at the whole scenario, that JPS has been collecting a fee for over the years, and now the tapping into that money that they collect, how much $1 billion. And as what you said, how is it that JPS don't have a helicopter to go up into the mountains of this country and connect their high tension wires? How is that JPS don't have is it that JPS don't have a storeroom? I remember back in the days the JPS have a storeroom down in Savlamar for that area. You know?
Oh,
anyway, we have an next call coming in.
All right, but may I tell you, we're in serious crisis, Jeffrey.
Indeed, we are.
Seriously, need fixing.
Yes, Miss P.
All right, we got my class.
Yeah, man, thanks much. Luke, welcome back to the program, Luke.
Yeah, Jeffrey, look here. The truth of the matter, the Jamaican people have to make a decision one way or the other. If they want to continue to be used by the two political diatribe that has no interest in improving the quality of life. Me, when an MP talk about, what PJ Patterson did and what Portia did, she will never be credited from, because we in Jamaica, Anthony was right, we're a classist society. We don't recall that most of the development exercise that we see are take place right now. A Portia did start them thing there. And to her credit, I mean, it has gone to the Jamaica Labour Party, right? And I don't see us celebrating the contribution of Portia. It as it may, all of we have our ups and downs, and so to judge is to look into yourself and also hold yourself accountable, because the corruption in the country, is fueled by the people of this country who will not stand up for themselves and said, no, brother, if you're not do the job, you have to leave. You've got to leave. And what is so interesting as you watch this poll that Don Anderson, if you were to break down the polls, Jeffrey, I'm sure Don Anderson will repeat it for you. The people who recently had their name added to the voters list will not be voting in the next election. They have no interest in voting. And that is sad, because it is our young people who must now see the issue of the democracy, the issue of improvement as critical to the development of the nation. What is it that young people have that them can hold on to right now? Them have a job at a call center, but they can't buy a house, because basically they are living, it's a hand-to-mouth situation. There is no upward mobility. So it's not as if we have them doing the 8 hours a day, but we're training them like in coding, and so they could take on a job where it's remote. They don't have to physically go into the place, but they can earn, and so earn to own. And if you look at the price of housing in Jamaica, Jeffrey, it's, I mean, if you have a pacemaker, you're going to die when you see it, because, I mean, every house now is almost quoted in US, but US is not our main currency. And if you look at the value of the Jamaican dollar, and nobody is regulating it. Jeffrey, you can't hear me? Jeffrey? Jeffrey? Jeffrey, can you hear me?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, we're hearing you. Go ahead, caller. We're hearing you, Luke. Yes, caller.
Yeah, I was saying, I'm with Luke. I'm with Luke. We're ready tomorrow morning. Like ready tomorrow morning to go in the Clarendon or St. Elizabeth to give a helping hand. So yes, I agree. And what I wanted to ask Mr. Hilton earlier on, when you said to Mr. Hilton the issues that have taken place in the country, and the opposition leader, they are not coming out and say it. And he said, like what? There's so many things that's happening where he just sweep on the carpet. Sweep. I'm saying, Mr. Golden need to come and try to, I'm not using the word convince, but give the young people hopes. Come and make them, give them something that they can say, okay, come and make we know, oh, our young people life are got better off. How many factories we can build in 2 years so our young Jamaican man and woman have a job.
And Carla, it's more than that, you know. I want us to broaden our horizon. I want us to broaden our horizon. In the event that Jamaica right now, if say Ukraine and Russia was to go to war, and that was to stop the shipment the shipment of food coming into Jamaica, are we secure as a country that we could feed our people, and for how long? So there are a lot of things that I would love to hear a manifesto address outside of the fact that do we have adequate amount of plumbers? Why is it that JPS is now having a problem fixing the light, considering that burial happened at least 3.5 weeks ago? Is it that we should be training more of people at the community level with the sort of skill set that they could have? And do we end the manipulation of JPS? Now we're getting somebody who have our skin color who is going to come here and tell us how much more revenue he can hark up, but not certainly we're not getting the service that we rightfully deserve. And why is it that Mark Golden has not used this opportunity, Carla, to say that with this exercise we need to look at alternative measures like in every house bill that you're going to build, and we can also do a project under the social infrastructure of putting up panel where we can benefit from the natural energy of
Yeah, go ahead, because we'll have a couple more.
Sorry to cut you.
Hold on for me, caller.
Yes, quickly, that's my last point.
Hold on for me,
I always said to you, Mr. Jeffrey, and I make it abundant.
Hold on for me, caller.
I always said to you, Mr. Jeffrey.
Hold on.
Hold on. Okay.
Hold on. We have a couple more minutes to leave on the program here, because where I am, I'm not in the studio tonight, and where I am, we have to cut the program a little bit short because I have to end up going, because where I am, I'm not in the studio. So go ahead for me. You have a couple more minutes to leave, then we have to cut the program, all right?
Yes, man. Just one more thought. I always said that I'm not a PNP. I am not a Labourite. I make that clear. Every time I come on the program, I always say that I never vote. And just like I said, I needed something to vote for. And Mr. Golden, you need to come. Mark Golden, please come and give me Robert Uriah, and this is something to vote for. The next thing before we go, Mr. Chang, I don't know in person, sir, and I'm not one of the Jamaican who rude or disrespect people. That's not me. Mr. Chang and the commissioner of police, if you guys really love Jamaica and really love Jamaica from the heart and not from the mouth, that police officer who put his foot in that gentleman's neck should be charged and don't have a job. Again, Mr. Chang and the commissioner of police who are setting up the Jamaica people against the police force. It's going to be a serious riot between the people of Jamaica and the police force, because we don't want big people as like keep up on people's neck. And I'm saying, Mr. Chang and to the commissioner of police, sir, if you love Jamaica, who are here to protect that police officer who put his foot and that police lady who kneeled down in that gentleman's back should be charged and don't have a job.
But Carla, do you really think that
we all come from a woman?
Carla, do you really think anything?
Yes, sir.
You really think anything is going to be changed when the Prime Minister himself could have come out and say anything? about the abuse of how we apprehend a citizen, be it as it may, whether the citizen is wrong or right, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Don't you think that it should be a call from the Federation itself and the people of Jamaica saying that we expect that our police must operate, and when they are in adverse situation, they must use deadly force if it is become necessary? But that yesterday was a blatant disregard of any human's life, and when that becomes viral, it sets a trend for the next person who have to go a little bit above that to be more cruel to a citizen of this country. And this is what I'm saying. When you tell me about, PGA did put some things in place, but who holds them accountable? Do you recognize that the story that Terence, who used to be the head of Indicom, just won $50 million in defamation suit? How come we don't have ordinary Jamaicans having the means to carry some of these oppressors to the courts and enrich themselves from getting justice?
Not only that, Luke. How is it that they're dragging Corporal Rowan James' name through the mud for so long, and nothing for that man? Country that
and Mr. Jeffrey, let me just throw this in before me leave. We say you ask a question, man. It was like a douche. You bowl to Mr. Hilton. Why? So we are saying no. We need our opposition leader of security need to come out and look at this video with this policeman having foot in the neck of a Jamaican.
But Caller, I'm saying
need to hear you come out, sir.
No, but Caller, one of the things that you will understand in this system when we sign the Secrecy Act as civil servant, or when we are sworn into public office, is that we don't criticize the state. The state cannot be seen criticizing the state. Or if you create that sort of justice system, you weaken the state power. So it's not for the minister to call for justice for the citizen. It's for you, Caller, to use your voice, and your voice add to my voice and add to Jeffrey's voice. There are 62,000 people on this platform. Why can't we just say to the minister that we saw the video, we are very disturbed by it, but we are even more disturbed by your lack of action? Is this the new type of policing that Jamaica, and we see a clear and present danger in it, where more Jamaicans are going to now fight the police, and so it is going to become bloody because there is an inequity in how we dispense justice. Because with everybody there, so yesterday, it's an easy apprehension of the man, but it became so brutal, followed by the shooting of the sergeant and having the person who allegedly shot the sergeant taking their own lives. You realize where we are in terms of where our people are just so fed up that we're taking justice into our own hands. We're not waiting for the system to dispel it. We're going to take it into our own hands. But if you are going to wait for the minister for come out, Carla, then that's like Patilla Bell. It will never happen. You're on your own.
And not only that, we have to go now. Not only that, if the minister wanted to say something, he had the opportunity last night at a press conference that they had for the police who was slain to say something about what the police did to the bus driver, but he did not. Caller, thank you very much for coming, and we have to go now.
No problem, man. You all have a good one, and God bless and keep you and guide over yours.
Yeah, man. Thanks much. Luke, can you give your wrap-up word for me, please? Because where I am, I gotta go from here.
No, the numbers is high, but an election can be bought and sold. If Jamaicans don't stop selling them vote for 5,000 and 3,000, the country not gonna go anywhere. We must put country above party. We must put country above our individual need, because if Jamaica go down, we all suffer. There is no victory for the Jamaica Labour Party. There will be no victory for the PNP party. So it's country above personal gain.
Thank you very much. Luke George Cooke, my good friend, human rights activist in his own right, who stand up for the people of Jamaica. I want to say thanks to Mr. Don Anderson, Pollster Don Anderson, and also to Let me take off this. This was still on it. I thought I had the Make Live thing on it. I still had Andre Hylton name on it. I want to say thanks to Mr. Andre Hylton, former member of Parliament for the People's National Party. I want to say thank you all for coming on. Thank you all for being a part of this program. Remember to like, share, and subscribe until you hear our voice again. And also, I think is on Thursday. Yes, and Thursday we'll be coming to you live from the Boulevard Baptist Church. I think it's the Baptist Church, yes, where we're going to have a live feed coming into you, the funeral service, Thanksgiving service of the life of the late Betty Ann Blaine, a woman who championed the cause for children in this country. Luke, you have something to say about that?
No, it's Andre. I don't know what have been done. Not do. No book have been open for condolences at none of the ministry, not at the Ministry of Youth, and this woman has devoted. I met Betty Ann Blaine, Jeffrey, in 1987 when she just come back from the United States when she was working at the then voluntary organization for social services for the upliftment of children, Vouch, and our life became intertwined because I remember this tall, stately lady come back with this deep American accent, and she was just so full of vim, vitality, and vigor. And she has stayed true. She's one of the few people, me can say, she stayed true to the calling of the upliftment of the poor people from all walks of life. And to see that she has passed, and you didn't even raise the flag at half-mast, you didn't open a condolence book. We paid millions of dollars for Mr. Thiago. We didn't even get to see what was inside of the casket. Right. We didn't, but this woman who has devoted when you look at achievement of Betty Ann Blaine, you're talking about she raised funds to help poor people's children at Vouch. She moved on and started the first mentorship program in Jamaica that spread to the Eastern Caribbean. That was the outreach. And then in the end, she ended with the Hear the Children Cry. She stayed true. Starting the Ananda Alert, providing counseling service for people who couldn't afford it, finding an outreach and assisting people who were struggling at the lower end of the social and not even to give her a national funeral. She should have been the children ambassador, but because of politics, they didn't give it to her because she went with Antoinette Houghton to form the United People's Party and lost her business. I must tell you, Jeffrey, lost her business as a result of the fact that they went in and they started to tax her for it. This is how true Jamaicans pay. We pay with our lives. We pay with our goddamn life. And nobody from both of the political arena can tell me one thing that they have done. Would it be too hard for the leader of the opposition to ask at MP office, who don't know Betty Ann Blaine? Don't live at Jamaica.
Yes.
Betty Ann Blaine almost share the same fate of a Louise Bennett, but it's the same thing I got when Luke George dead. We work hard, we give it soul and heart to the country, and we get persona non grata. I mean, I ask for them to canonize her or give her sin, but my God, the state could have carried this one.
Indeed, I agree with you. Luke, I don't know, will you be at the funeral? Or will you be at the program here with us?
Jeffrey, I only dead can't make me not dead, so.
Okay. I want to say thank you for coming in.
I only dead can't make me not dead. May I tell you, I know Betty Ann Blaine all through my life, Jeffrey. She commonly called me her son, and I always look to her as my mentor and mother. There has been so many situations that Betty Ann and I have withered. I was there when the 100-man lane, the killing of the 6, and I saw Betty Ann Blaine, not politician, Betty Ann Blaine going to 100-man lane and Park Lane and had us walk around because we wanted the people to know. I know when she was packaging those meals and ensuring that people eat when they had to leave their home.
Look, we gotta go now, though, Luke. We gotta go now. So let's give it about 2 minutes for you to wrap up because we gotta go. Because where I am, we gotta go from here.
All right. All the best, Jeffrey. Be safe.
Right,
Be safe, my brother. But
yep.
yeah, I will be there on Thursday. So I'm glad I'm glad at least you're bringing this live.
Yes, I will. I will. Try my endeavor best to do so. Thank you very much, Luke George Cooke, human rights activist. And on behalf of all of us here, the team of the Make We Talk program, Jeffrey Tavares saying thank you all very much for being a part of this program tonight. Thanks to Mr. Don Anderson who gave the polls pertaining to what is going on in Jamaica with the PNP and the JLP. I want to say thanks to Mr. Andre Hylton, former member of parliament of the People's National Party. Thank you all very much. On behalf of all of us here, as I said before, may God bless you. May God bless Jamaica land we love. Have a great night, everyone.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk.